Syria, Comey, the Mueller witch hunt, as the president calls it. A lot to talk about with my next guest, former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci, who joins me now in New York. Good evening, Anthony.
Great to be here.
Okay, now, I understand you spoke with the president this morning. Did you have occasion to speak with him about how he felt about how things went in Syria?
Yeah, we talked briefly this morning. He was very happy with mission results from Syria. I think that he's sending the right message. It was a proportional response. He did it in conjunction with our allies. And I think, listen, at the end of the day, he represents a benevolent nation and the force for good, the American military, which over the last 100 years has been a peacekeeping force around the world. Mm-hmm. And so it was a very big moral dilemma. You can't see young kids being chemically attacked, innocent children. And so I think he sent the right proportional message. I think he was very happy with the results. So when I spoke to him this morning, he indicated to me, I said, I'm going to be on the judge's show. He said, well, just let everybody know that, that was an attack that was precise and it was done right in a way that would, knock their capabilities down a notch. So hopefully he won't have to do it again.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how much else or what else they have, if anything, left of these chemical weapons, or at least the capability. Now, let's talk about Comey's book. I don't know if you heard my open, but I don't think it's...
I mean, the people at Radio City heard your open. Okay, they're not even watching. They heard your open. Of course they heard your open.
Are you saying I have a big mouth? Is that what it is?
No, it's very passionate. I mean, you got a tremendous amount of energy. God bless you.
Here's the thing. I knew Jim Comey, and a long time ago I had a lot of respect for him. I just am amazed at the fall from grace and honesty. But what's your take? You read the book.
I read the book. I don't know James Comey, but what I didn't like about the book is it goes back to Shakespeare. Doubt does protest too much. You're titling the book Higher Loyalty, and then you're explaining with great sanctimony and righteousness why you are better than everybody else. And so if you really are better than everybody else, Jeanine, you don't really have to say that. Your actions will speak louder than those words. The other thing I didn't like about the book is that he claims that he's above the politics, but he was obviously making decisions during the campaign related to the politics. And he's admitting to George Stephanopoulos in this interview, where the excerpts are, that there were calculations related to Secretary Clinton winning the election. And so,
in other words, so politics did enter into his decision-making.
So this combination of sanctimony and this combination of hitting the president, who's the commander-in-chief, and at the end of the day, you have to remember, we all serve at the discretion of the president. Okay, in my case, I only served him for 11 days. Okay, but at the end of the day, I'm very loyal to him. He is the commander-in-chief. And I sort of think it's cheap, and I think it weakens the FBI when senior leadership at the FBI is making a decision now that they got to go out and talk about the president's hand size. They got to go out and talk about the president in a way that is not really becoming to the FBI director. So,
I have to tell you, when you talk to men and women in the FBI, and I do, they're so horrified by what has gone on at the top. And it's like the 7th floor up there was on its own. It was its own, operation.
Well, I mean, they caught a fever. They caught a fever of power. I mean, this is one of the reasons why press is so important. We've got to hold these people accountable. And they caught a fever of power. But something else that he did in that book, is I read a lot of books, is that he got pushed by his editors. There's no question about that, to write some unseemly things in the book. They were probably hitting him up while he was writing it, saying, let's talk about the president's hand size. Let's talk about the tanning cups on his eyes, which I'm sure the president doesn't use anyway. But it was just all of this sort of nonsense that was put in the book in an effort to sensationalize the book and sell the book. And so what Kellyanne was saying was interesting about his testimonies and the fact that he's a confirmed leaker, and obviously the president said he was a liar. But I do think the book will be part of his legacy. Someone 25 or 50 years from now will look at it and say, okay, this was a sanctimonious treatise in an effort to explain the things that he did, which if he did the right thing in the first place, he wouldn't have to explain the things that he did. So, again, I don't know the guy, but that's my read of the thing. And it took me, like my 26-year-old son was like, Dad, you're like speed reading this book. I said, no, I'm going to be on Judge Jeanine's show. I got to read it like very carefully. So I read it over the last 3 days.
Anthony Scaramucci, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us tonight. All right, and we're getting 2 of our favorite panelists back tonight, Dan Bongino and Chris Hahn. Ready to talk Syria, Comey, and more. Justice rolls on in a moment.